My name is Adele. Welcome to my channel, Bold Christian Entrepreneur. Here I share videos with you to help launch new kingdom entrepreneurs to start up that business ministry models that God has placed in their hearts. So if that sounds like you, hit the subscribe button and be kept up to date with new videos whenever I release them. How do you go from overwhelm to taking the next steps? This is a question that many entrepreneurs face, especially when they've never been in business and now they want to combine business and ministry, because the vision God has given them is so full and so vast and they don't really know where to start. And so today we are going to look at how to go from overwhelm to that tangible next step in your business. Now, this video follows up from my first video that talked about how to start a business ministry model, to register a business, choose a domain name, and so forth. Now, here we are going to look at how to move into that first product or first service. Chances are right now your head is spinning and your head is swimming, because what God is showing you is something for the future and something that you are building and moving towards. And yet you go, I do not know where to start. What do I need to put on a website? What do I need to start with my storefront? Where do I go from here? So now, the basic thing you need to do is write down your vision and make it plain, as Habakkuk says, if you haven't already done so. So let's write down the vision. Your vision is the main starting point and component. And remember, we are building in the now present for the future. But that does not mean everything in the present needs to reflect the future. It is too great for you to actually do all in one go. So my recommendation is to, of course, as always, sit with the Holy Spirit and ask Him, okay, Lord, from this big vision that you have given me, what is the tangible next step to take? So let's say God has given you a few product ideas. He might have given you a few course ideas. He might have given you a few book ideas and maybe coaching ideas and a layout of different products and services that you can offer the body of Christ and other people in the secular front. But you're not really sure which one is the main one to start with. Now, here are some key insights that might help you make that decision. But as always, you need to sit with the Lord and confirm with Him and not just run ahead. First thing that you want to look at when you're going to choose your first product or service to run with is this. How will it actually measure in the marketplace? Okay, because what you're looking to do with your business ministry is to set up something that will draw the people in. So let's say, for example, Bold Existence, one of my companies. When I started, the Lord had me start health and wellness. Many people understand health and wellness. Many people didn't understand prophetic ministry. So we didn't start with prophetic ministry. We started with health and wellness. I'm a qualified personal trainer. I know how to create exercise programs. I can do wellness coachings. And so those were the first pinpoints that the Lord gave me to start with. And when I looked at that, I sat with the Lord and I went, okay, God, you want me to start a health and wellness business, but there is so many components in here. When it comes to health and wellness, you can do exercise programs, you can do one-on-one coachings, you can create wellness courses, you can go into health supplements. What is the starting point of that? Because I was seeing a very big picture of where certain aspects could go. And so the Lord just said to me to start off very simply with what I tangibly had in my hands at that stage. And what I had in my hands at that stage was a means to create exercise programs. I found some pictures that I could put in an exercise program to show out which muscles worked. I already had the knowledge. I could create it on a Word document, putting it in a layout, and that is where I started. And I had a video camera and I could do basically instruction videos to incorporate with that exercise program, which didn't take any tech, which didn't cost me extra money. These were things that I already had access to. And the second thing that I could implement was one-on-one wellness coachings over Zoom. Again, it really didn't cost me much apart from a Zoom subscription so that my coachings wouldn't get cut off at 40 minutes. And that is something very easy to utilize. You basically send a Zoom link to someone and you can do a coaching. Versus me thinking of all the other tabs that I needed to build for wellness and then also for prophetic ministry and all the other facets that the Lord showed me, which now I'm doing another branch, which is the Bold Christian Entrepreneur, which was also focused on business, health, and training entrepreneurs. And so you can imagine me starting with that big vision. It was too overwhelming because if you look at all the different facets of my businesses together, you can see that they all kind of correlate with one another. But I wasn't able to build all of that at the start. I had to break it down with the Lord step by step. And so you might be doing something similar. Now, your model is going to look very different because you might not be looking at starting a health and wellness business. You might be looking at starting an education business. You might be looking at starting a songwriting or a component to teach people how to audio mix or whatever it might be that you have. And so you just need to sit with the Lord and break down what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to use the example of Build Existence. So he gave me that big vision. And so I sat with the Lord. What is my starting point? I have a website, but I don't know how to build courses. I don't know how to basically automate things. I don't know any aspect, but I do know how to write an exercise program. I can do that on a document on Word or Canva. And I do know how to basically take videos of how exercises are conducted. So the layout was first things first. Break down the vision to the first step. And when you go for the first step, you want to choose one product and one service. And initially, you are going to start off your business, building it in correlation with that first step. Now, what I'm talking about here is online business, okay? I'm not going to focus now on basically in-person business, storefronts and all of that. I'm more focusing on online business that do it on websites. And what you want to do is you want to build a website with accordance with the first step of the vision that God has given you. Why I tell you that is because it's very important. If you go and you implement multiple different steps already, and they don't really correlate with one another, when people come to your website, they can become quite confused because they don't really know what you are selling. They don't really know what you are offering them. And that might make them not want to actually stay on your website. Okay, so for example, if I would have incorporated health and wellness with then prophetic ministry, and then business health, you can see how they don't really relate, yet they do relate, because health and wellness is incorporated in your spiritual health, your emotional health, which also has an impact on your physical health, and then also business health. If you're not healthy and well, you cannot do business. And so they do overlap, but putting them all in one go at the start of the business would not have made sense because people would have become confused. They would go, but what are you actually doing? And that is something people ask me at the start. They're like, what are you actually doing? And I couldn't give them a tangible answer because there were so many components in my vision, but I didn't learn to streamline it yet into one simple aspect of the starting point. Ideally, you want your starting point to be something that will already fund the vision. So you would already want that to be more focused on the business model of earning income. Okay, because even though you might incorporate a ministry component that would be non-for-profit, you would also need to still fund this overall vision that the Lord has given you. And yes, God will bring you funds through the non-for-profit as well. But if you only start with that and you have bills to pay, you might struggle. Okay. And so you want to look for that first step as something tangible to start getting the income in. And also, when you do that, your marketing is going to be focused on that. So your marketing strategy needs to resemble how you're going to build your website first, okay? And at the end of this video, I am going to share with you the basically recommended platforms for websites to choose from, depending on what you build. So you might want to stick around for that at the end. And basically what you're going to start doing here with your step 1 and your overall vision is going to determine the platform you're going to choose, okay? But more on that a little bit later. So you want your marketing strategy to go with your first product, your first service, and to reflect all of that on your website. So your website is going to start off by looking just like a health and wellness website that glorifies Jesus, okay? Because we're building a business ministry together. And so you can basically put there that we do health and wellness by helping God's people, by creating exercise programs for them and doing wellness coaching. Simple enough, 2 products. It helps people's brain to know what is structured, they know what you are offering. And then you can put all your time and energy and efforts into actually marketing this well, okay? Marketing those products and services very well to get people in. Because if your marketing strategy is already going to incorporate now prophetic ministry and business health, you're going to lose a few people because they don't really know what you're about. When people feel a bit confused, they drop off. And so that would be my recommendation. Depending on what website platform you build it on, you can always alter your website to then reflect the other components later. But because no one knows you, because you're starting out fresh, you want to start very simple and then building complex with the Lord. So once you start lining this out, chances are, as you are finishing up just building the fundamentals of your first product and service into a website, God will already start dropping the next blueprint for the next facet of your business. So your step 2. Okay? So then he might start to say, okay, now you need to incorporate more of that. So now we had 1 product and 1 service, and you're already marketing for that to cater to people's health. Then as you get people into your business and you get sales going and you get them through the marketing and you're capturing the leads, the next thing you can then start doing is then focusing on the non-for-profit component, if that is what the Lord is asking you to build next. And so then he might tell you to do something like a free devotional to give to people. He might tell you to open up for prayer requests. Or he might get you to do videos on prophetic words or teaching words or things like that, feeding that component. And what that is going to do is that's going to draw other people in. Okay, so draw other people in. Drawing other people in that might not be related or focused on health and wellness, but they are focused on prophetic ministry. But chances are some of these people are also interested in health and wellness. And so you can see how both of them are starting to correlate. And then you can do devotionals that incorporate your product and your service as well. And then you can actually tell people once they come here and they get the free stuff, that you actually offer these other products and services. And because they already like what you're offering here, they will join in that. And the same with these guys. Because your business, you're starting with health and wellness, but you're making it Christ-centered. People who come here know that you're about Christ Jesus. And so your clients that you already have here, they might generally be interested in also having a free devotional asking for prayer requests or watching your videos, because they basically go together. But this component might have extra things such as courses that the Lord wants you to add in, and books, for example. And so if you started off with this would have been too complicated for you because you have limited funds or limited ways of actually building and doing things, and don't really know or have an outline of courses yet. And so you can see how the different components will fit together. And then once that one is set, then you already have the foundations of the two aspects of business and ministry together. And then the Lord might add in the third one and give you a blueprint for that. But the important thing is, if God doesn't give you a tangible blueprint for one of the steps, then it means you just have to wait and be patient until He gives you those tangible steps. Because you have to think about, how am I going to deliver my product or service to the people who come to me? If I'm going to give an exercise program, how am I going to give that to them? Am I going to sell it to them as a once-off product that they can purchase, or am I going to sell it to them as a subscription? Or am I actually going to incorporate exercise program with eating healthily into a course? And that is something that the Lord will reveal to you, because then you can build it already for that product and service. And everything that you start to build here, the Lord uses that as a landing pad for the next. For example, if you already have one product and one service with coaching and let's say just an exercise program, the Lord will then incorporate some of that maybe into your courses or your videos to make them go together and flow together. So if you are just trying to do it all at once in focusing on building the entire vision, you are going to get quite overwhelmed. And you definitely don't want to be in that space, because when you get overwhelmed, you freeze. And then you decide to not even go ahead, and you get very stressed, very anxious, and then you just don't know where to start. So that is my advice, is when you are overwhelmed, just break down the vision. You don't need to build the entire vision all at once. Build it little by little. As long as you are moving forward with the Lord and in obedience, He will get you to that vision. But do it step by step. If you think about Noah and how he built the ark, you know, when Noah basically got that drop from the Lord for the ark, I am pretty sure he didn't try and build that whole ark in one day. You know, he had to go and get the wood, the right wood. Then he had to cut the wood. He had to shave the wood. He had to get the wood in the right sizes. Then he had to get the nails or make the nails. You know, he had to get all those different components together. And then he needed to first do the frame, then do, you know, the hole, then do the other components, then add windows, those kind of things. So there was a step-by-step process until we built the overall vision. And so just remember that when you are looking at the big vision, break it down in chunks, sit with Holy Spirit. You will get there with a whole vision, but just start simple and small, something that will make you not feel overwhelmed, something that's already easily accessible in your hand, that you can really create for almost next to nothing, that won't cost you much, but that you can actually sell onwards from there and make that the focus point. And then the Lord will add in components and you can grow from there. So let's talk websites now. Okay, so with your vision, you want to think long-term and then build in the present for that. Okay, so what I mean by that is, let's say you have a very simplistic business that the Lord wants to give you. Let's say that the only vision He gives you is to create a book and have a devotional. And you feel like that is all He's asked you to do, and you don't feel like He's going to grow it further. Then your options for websites that you're going to choose is going to be a little bit more expansive than the rest, because you don't need a lot of tools. So then you can use something such as Shopify, for example. Shopify is an e-commerce website where its main focus is to sell products to people. So if your main focus is going to be just to sell a product, a single product, or just multiple products like maybe merchandise or apparel, then you can basically use a platform like that, where it's simple plug and play. They give you templates to choose from, and you can easily maneuver things in and out. However, if you're looking at building a website that is mainly focused on courses, so let's say the Lord gives you a vision of education and you know that you would need to have multiple courses in there, then you might look at a platform such as Kajabi, where that is focused more on only courses. Again, it's almost like a plug and play. You can really have like a few templates that they give you, and you can basically build on that what they have you, and you get what you basically pay for with the subscriptions. But that's the main focus point of that platform. If you're looking at just running something like a blog, you might look at something like Wix, or even if you want to sell one product, you can look at that. But if your vision is much bigger and larger than that, like you can see like with Build Existence, how I even started with that. If your vision is going to incorporate many multiple facets such as e-commerce, courses, free content, coachings, and you might need to incorporate different components into your business later on, my recommendation is always building on WordPress. WordPress is what I use for all of my websites. I find it the most versatile and the most diverse, and you can really do pretty much anything with that. With these other paid platforms, you are quite limited in what you can do for yourself. With WordPress, you can choose different templates, you can choose different themes, you can basically customize the whole thing to your look and your like and your feel, and you can grow and expand in incredible scalability and flexibility with WordPress. If you go with a paid service, you are limited. For example, if you choose to go with Shopify, but later you decide and choose that you want to maybe do, more courses or a social community platform, you can't really build it on that. So you would then need to move. And the problem is when you are joining platforms like that, once you need to move or cancel your subscription, you lose your website. Whereas when you have WordPress website built on a server hosting platform, that website belongs to you and you can move it to any other different hosts that you feel you need to if pricing gets too high. Similar with Kajabi, if you want to go and then make an e-commerce store, but you've chosen Kajabi because you started off with courses, that is going to make it quite challenging for you to incorporate that into that dream and vision, because those platforms are specifically built for certain purposes. So you have to have an understanding of what you are building for the future when you're making a decision in the present moment. If you are set out and know you just need e-commerce, you can use something like Shopify. If you know you just set out at courses, you can use something like Kajabi. But if you're going to need something very flexible and something that you know might need to change and really have all the customizable options and being cost effective for you in the long run, then a WordPress website with a server host is the way to go for you. And just a word on the server host as well, you want to look for hosts that allow you to scale. If you're going to build extra components and grow very quickly, you would need to be able to upscale on that servers, because the servers that you build your WordPress website on, it will have limited sizes and limited speeds and all of that. And so if you're looking at building a very big vision with multiple components, you will need to look at something that can scale and is very easy for you to do without you needing to swap and so forth. So I hope that has given you some clarity and some starting point of breaking down your vision in much easier, tangible steps, and also helping you to understand how to choose platforms for websites out there. Think long term, do your calculations, because if you look at, let's say, Shopify, for example, and you are looking at expanding, then look at the cost per month of expansion. It might look now payable for you, but when you calculate that over a year and see how much that's going to cost you in holding a website there versus actually paying money up front, maybe to have a website built one time, and then you can change it as you need to, look at the cost difference. When I sat down and calculated what monthly fees would have cost me with some of these pre-built platforms versus me running solo with WordPress, I found out that I would have actually saved myself about $25,000 in 3 years building the way that I have been building. because I wasn't paying monthly fees for all these things to grow and scale. I was literally paying just a once-off website build, learned how to customize myself, and my servers could just grow as it needed to. And so I saved a lot of money on web developer fees. I saved a lot of money on not needing to be reliant on other platforms as such, but I had the independence to be able to scale and the flexibility to grow. So I will touch on that and a little bit more later in future videos, but this is just to help to give you a starting point and help to get you thinking about your choices that you make now in the present for the future. So if you've been blessed by this and you know of someone who would really benefit from this video, please share it with them and subscribe to this channel for more videos to come soon. God bless you.